Good morning. This is Manideepa from Tara Government Degree College. In this video, we can discuss what is meant by um, dilute solutions and what are colligative properties, what are the different types of colligative properties, how can they depend on number of particles, and what is meant by Raoult's law, what is relative lowering of vapor pressure, which we can discuss it in this video. So first, what is colligative properties and what are dilute solutions that which we can discuss it in this video. So what are dilute solution is nothing but it's a mixture of, or it's a homogeneous mixture between solute and solvent. If a solute is very less, then the solvent is more in quantity, then such a type of solutions generally we can call it as a very dilute solutions. So in general, solutions properties like melting point or boiling point or whatever may be the properties which we can discuss it for any liquids. Generally, that can depend on the size of the particles or the behavior, nature of the particles which is present in a solution, that is both solute particles and solvent particles, and temperature, that and all it depends. But the only thing which we can sum up the properties of some solutions, they can depend only upon the number of solute particles, but not their nature. So in general, dilute solutions are nothing but dilute solutions, solute particles are very less in quantity compared to the solvent particles, or solvent is more in quantity compared to the solute. So that such a type of solutions are generally dilute solutions. So in general, any solutions property, it can depends on the nature of the particles of both solute and solvent along with the number, but some properties of a solution which depends only on the number of the solute particles or solute molecules, but not on their nature. Such a type of properties are also existing. So whatever may be the properties of any particular solution, which depends only the number of solute particles, but not on their nature, then such a type of properties of a solutions, generally we can call it as a colligative properties. So in general, solution properties which decides the nature of the solute and solvent molecules, along with the number of molecules of both solute and solvent which is present, and the temperature which can be as solution which is formed. So in general, any properties of a solution which has to depend on the nature of the solute and solvent particles, temperature. But in some of the some of solutions, properties generally they won't depend on the nature of this solute and solvent particles or molecules, but they can depend only on the number of solute molecules which is present in the solution. So such a type of properties, generally we can call it them as a colligative properties. Generally these colligative properties where we can observe it means, if the solution is a dilute solution, then we can observe a colligative properties, that is nothing but which depends on the number of solute molecules. Properties of a solution which depends on the number of solute molecules but not on their nature. So the colligative properties generally is applicable for dilute solutions most of the cases. That means if the solute is less in quantity and the solvent is more in quantity, then that is dilute solutions. So what is meant by colligative properties? In general, the properties of the solutions which depend upon the number of particles, either molecules or ions, of the solute are called as colligative properties. So whatever may be the properties of a solution which depends upon the number of particles, either molecules or ions, whatever it may be, of the solute, but not on the nature of a solute, then such a type of properties which we can call it as a colligative properties. So colligative properties of a solution which depends only on the number of the particles of a solute only, not the solvent. Solute particles or a solute molecules, or if it is in the form of ionic state, then there depends on the number of ions but not on the nature of the ion. So that are colligative properties. So important properties, colligative properties, there are generally 4 important colligative properties are there. First one is lowering in vapor pressure. That is how much it has less in vapor pressure of a solute when compared with the solvent solution. That is nothing but lowering in vapor pressure, or the difference between the vapor pressure of a solvent with the solution. That is lowering in vapor pressure. Second one is elevation in boiling point. How much boiling point which increases in either in case of a solution or in case of a pure solvent, that is elevation in boiling point. And depression in freezing point, that is decrease in the freezing point value. And last one is osmotic pressure. So there are 4 properties that generally which we can discuss under colligative properties, that is lowering in vapor pressure, elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point, and fourth one is osmotic pressure. So each and every colligative property which is useful to calculate the molecular weight of a solute which is present in a given solution. So in general, what is the purpose of colligative properties means generally we can use that colligative properties but to calculate the molecular weight of either solute or solvent using colligative properties. If you know any one or two values that we know, then we can calculate the molecular weight of a solute or solvent using colligative properties. So in general, solutions properties which depend only on a solute molecules or ions, then that properties are nothing but colligative properties. So a properties of a solution which depends upon the number of particles or molecules or ions of a solute only are called colligative properties. There are 4 important colligative properties are there. That is, one is lowering in vapor pressure. Second one is elevation in boiling point. Third one is depression in freezing point, and fourth one is osmotic pressure. So first we have to go for lowering in vapor pressure. What is meant by lowering in vapor pressure and what law explains the lowering of vapor pressure and relative lowering of vapor pressure, that which we can discuss it now. So these are commonly called the properties of dilute solution. So because colligative properties generally which we can observe in case of a dilute solution, so that only all the 4 colligative properties, lowering of vapor pressure, elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point, and osmotic pressure, all that properties generally we can call them as the properties of a dilute solutions. As the colligative properties depends upon the number of solute particles present in the solution, a simple case is represented when the solute is a non-electrolyte. And one more thing which we have to observe in case of a colligative properties means a solution must be a dilute solution and the solute must be a non-electrolyte. Then only we can observe that properties of the dilute solutions which depends only on the number of particles of a solute but not on the nature of the solute, and the solute must be a non-electrolyte. In case the solute is an electrolyte, it will split up into ions and each of which act as a particle. Thus, the change in the number of particles due to dissociation or association changes the value of colligative properties. So that whatever may be the colligative property, which depends on the number of ions of a solute particle, number of particles of a solute, that solute which we are going to be concerned in a dilute solutions, that solute must be a non-electrolyte. For example, if the solute is an electrolyte, what will happen means, if it is an electrolyte, simply it can split up into different type of ions. So the number of particles which increases as it becomes as ions. So the colligative property value changes. That means when the molecule, when any solute or solute, if it undergoes association or dissociation, then automatically the colligative property of that particular solution will change. So that for a dilute solutions, a properties that is nothing but a colligative properties which depend on the number of solute particles. In such case, the solute must be a non-electrolyte. That is the primary condition for any colligative property. Colligative properties are related to one another. So each one colligative property which depends on another colligative property in any one of the way. So which is all the 4 colligative properties, they are interrelated with each other. We can calculate the value of one colligative property using the another colligative property. That is the more important thing. So the study of colligative properties helps to determine the molecular mass of a solute. So what is the main use of a colligative properties means generally we can calculate the molecular weight or molecular mass of a solutes which is present in a dilute solutions using colligative property. That is the main important thing which we have to remember. And one more thing is colligative, 4 different types of colligative properties. They are related with each other. They are interlinked with each other. So if we know one colligative property value, then it is easy to calculate the another colligative property, and the same way we can estimate the molecular mass or molecular weight of a solute if we know the molecular weights of a solvents and any one of the colligative property value, then which is used for the estimation of or for the determination of molecular mass of a solute using colligative property. So to explain the different types of colligative properties, especially lowering up in vapor pressures, we have to discuss it, or we should learn about Raoult's law, which explains the nature of that is a non-volatile solute. If it is there, then the vapor pressure of a particular solution and solute, what will be the value or what it decides or where it depends on that, which is explained by scientist Raoult's. So we have to discuss it first. Raoult's law. What is Raoult's law for a non-volatile solute? And for a volatile solute, what will be the relation between vapor pressure of a solution to the number of molecules or mole fraction of where it depends? That will be explained by Raoult's law. So first one which we have to discuss it for Raoult's law. So what is Raoult's law? Raoult's law for a solution containing a non-volatile solute. In general, for any colligative property, one condition must be it's a dilute solution, and the solute must be a non-volatile solute. If it is a volatile solute, then immediately it can convert into a vapor. So the number of ions or molecules which has to be changed. So that always the solute must be a non-volatile solute. So when it is a non-volatile solute for a dilute solutions, then vapor pressure of a solution, where it depends or what is the deciding factor for relative or for vapor pressure of a solution, that which we have to discuss it under Raoult's law. So for a non-volatile solute, how can we take the Raoult's law, or how can we define the Raoult's law? That is the more important thing. So a solution of non-volatile solute, Raoult's law can be stated as the relative lowering in vapor pressure of a solution is equal to the mole fraction of the solute when the solvent alone is volatile. So for a non-volatile solute, according to Raoult's law, how can we explain that for a solution which consists of a non-volatile solute, the relative lowering in vapor pressure for a solution which is equal to the mole fraction of the solute. Mole fraction of the solute, that in the solute must be a non-volatile and the solvent only the volatile. So the relative lowering of vapor pressure of a solution is equal to the mole fraction of the solute when the solute is a non-volatile and the solvent alone be volatile. So for a non-volatile solute, Raoult's law, we can define it as a relative lowering of vapor pressure of a solution is equal to the mole fraction of the solute, and the solute must be a non-volatile and the solvent only the volatile in such case. So for example, how can we calculate the mole fraction of a solute if the solution which consists of a non-volatile solute and a volatile solvent? Then for that, let a solution contain n moles of the solvent A and small n moles of a solute B. So the solution which consists of a solvent A and the solute must be a B. So solvent A's number of moles equal to capital N. Number of moles, how can we calculate it? Means generally weight by molecular weight of a substance, whatever it may be. Whether it is a solvent, then weight of the solvent by molecular weight of the solvent. The same way for solute, weight of the solute by molecular weight of the solute, which gives the number of moles for a substance, for a solute or solvent. So that for example, a solution which consists of a solute B and solvent A, in such case, solvent A, which is having a n moles, and solute B, which is having a number of moles is small n. According to the Raoult's law, the vapor pressure of a solution, that is due to the solvent only, is proportional to the mole fraction of the solvent. So in general, vapor pressure of a solution which is due to the solvent, because the solute is a non-volatile and the solution is a dilute solution, so that vapor pressure of a solution which depends on only the mole fraction of a solvent are directly proportional to the mole fraction of the solvent. So a vapor pressure of a solution, that is PA, if you consider it, which is directly proportional to mole fraction of the solvent. How can we calculate the mole fraction for any either solute or solvent? Means a particular, for example, if it is a solvent, number of moles of a solvent by total number of moles of a solute plus solvent, which gives rise to mole fraction of a solvent. For example, if you want to calculate a mole fraction of a solute, then number of moles of a solute by total number of moles of a solution, that is both solvent plus solute. So for a solution, if it is a dilute solution, because in dilute solution, solute portion or solute quantity is very, very less, a very little amount of solute which is present in dilute solution, so that a vapor pressure of a solution for a dilute solutions, which is directly proportional to the mole fraction of a solvent, because it's a dilute solution. So that if we consider a vapor pressure of a solution, that is directly proportional to vapor pressure of a solution is directly proportional to mole fraction of a solvent, that is PA is directly proportional to N by N is number of moles of a solvent, capital N, small n is number of moles of a solute, that is small n. So PA is directly proportional to N by capital N plus small n, that is total number of moles per a solution, or PA, that is vapor pressure of a solution due to a solvent, so that only we are representing is a P of A, that is for A as a solvent in the solution. PA equal to P0A into capital N by capital N plus small n. P0A is the vapor pressure of a pure solvent, that is P0A is nothing but vapor pressure of a pure solvent A, and the mole fraction of a solvent, that which we can represent it as PA, that is vapor pressure of a solution due to a solvent, is equal to vapor pressure of a solvent in pure state into mole fraction of a solvent, that is PA equal to P0A into XA, where P0A equal to vapor pressure of the pure solvent and is constant at a particular temperature. If they change the temperature, then automatically pressure of the solvent also changes. And XA, which indicates that mole fraction of the solvent. So for a dilute solutions, in general, vapor pressure of a solution will be only due to the solvent. So that vapor pressure of a solution due to a solvent is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the solvent, that which we can represent it as PA is proportional to capital N by capital N plus small n, or PA equal to P0A into N by capital N plus small n, or PA equal to P0A into XA, that indicates that vapor pressure of a solution due to a solvent, that is A, PA equal to vapor pressure of a pure solvent multiplied with mole fraction of a solvent, that is equal to the vapor pressure of a solution which is due to the solvent. So that is nothing but PA. So PA is equal to P0A into XA, where P0A equal is the pure vapor pressure of a pure solvent. Always vapor pressure of a pure solvent is more compared to the vapor pressure of a solution. is due to the solvent and it is constant at a particular temperature. And XA is nothing but mole fraction of the solvent. So generally we know that mole fraction of a solute and plus mole fraction of a solvent is always equal to 1. So based on that, XA plus XB, that is mole fraction of a solvent, that is XA plus XB is mole fraction of a solute is equal to 1. Because always mole fraction of a solution is equal to 1 only. That is both the sum of mole fraction of a solute plus solvent is equal to 1. So that is XA is mole fraction of a solvent and XB is mole fraction of a solute, which is equal to 1. From that equation, we can write simply XA equal to 1 minus XB. That is 1 minus mole fraction of a solute. So if you substitute this XA value in the equation PA equal to P0A into XA, then we can get it one more equation, that is substituting XA from 2, that is XA equal to 1 minus XB. We have to substitute this value in equation 1, that is PA equal to P0A into XA. So that PA equal to P0A into 1 minus XB. From this, we can calculate XB, that is PA by P0A equal to, or 1 equal to PXB equal to P0A minus PA by P0A. That is nothing but solute mole fraction value. So solute mole fraction, that is solute is here B. So that X is the mole fraction. Generally, we can use that letter X for the mole fraction. XB is mole fraction of a solute B, which is equal to P0A minus PA by P0A, where XB is mole fraction of the solute and P0A minus PA by P0A is a relative lowering of vapor pressure. So using Raoult's law, we can calculate the relative lowering of vapor pressure, that is equal to P0A minus PA by P0A. How can we calculate the relative lowering of vapor pressure? Using experimentally for a non-volatile solute, how can we calculate? And for volatile solute, how can we calculate? That we can discuss it later. So before that, we have to go for, there are some limitations for Raoult's law. It can be applicable only for a few conditions, not for all the solutions. So what are the main limitations of Raoult's law? That which we have to discuss it now. So what are the main limitations of Raoult's law? So Raoult's law is applied only to ideal solutions. That means they have to obey the gaseous laws, Boyle's law, Charles' law, all laws at any particular, at all particular temperatures and pressures, then it is ideal solutions. So that is applicable only for ideal solutions. And what are the limitations as Raoult's law which is having means? First one, it is applicable only to very dilute solutions which are nearly ideal in behavior. So first condition is they are applicable only, that is Raoult's law is applicable only for very dilute solutions. That means solute is very, very less quantity or concentration of solute is very less in case of very dilute solutions. So that is for very dilute solutions only Raoult's law is applicable. At higher concentrations of solute, the intermolecular forces dominate and cause deviations. So why we have to use only very less solute in case of very dilute solutions to obey Raoult's law means if the concentration of a solute increases, whatever the force which is present in the solute particles which dominates and which causes the deviation from the ideal behavior. So that only always for a very dilute solutions only Raoult's law is applicable. That is the first limitation. Second one is it is applicable to solutions containing non-volatile solute only. So the solution, if it has a non-volatile solute, then only it is applicable. That is the second limitation. It has solute. If the solute is volatile, it contributes to the vapor pressure above the solution, which thus increases. It causes in deviation in the lowering of vapor pressure. So in general, it is applicable for non-volatile solute only. For example, if the solute is volatile, what will happen means it contributes to vapor pressure. That means it will change the vapor pressure of a solution, which changes or which may increase or decreases. So because of that vapor pressure either increases or decreases, it causes deviation from the lowering of vapor pressure. If changes, automatically lowering of vapor pressure also changes. So that always a solution which contains a non-volatile solutes only can obey the Rolle's law. That is the second application. Limitation, third one. It does not apply to solutes which associates or dissociate in the particular solution. And third one is, which is very important thing, that which we have to remember, if the solute, if it undergoes any association or dissociation, that means if it undergoes dissociation, that means which leads to a formation of ions, or if it combines same of two molecules, then association. If it undergoes any association or dissociation in the solution, then Raoult's law is not applicable, because if it undergoes a dissociation reaction, then the number of ions which increases, so that colligative property which depends on the number of the particles of a solute but not on the nature of the solute, so that its colligative property value changes. For example, if it undergoes association, that means if it combines with another same molecule, then the number of molecules increases. So generally, lowering of vapor pressure or any colligative property which affects, so that only number of particles changes, so it affects on the lowering of vapor pressure, which decides or which depends on the number of particles, because it's a colligative property. So if the solute dissociates in solution, then the number of particles in the solution increases, and thus the lowering in vapor pressure will be more. The value of lowering in vapor pressure falls in case the solute associates or the number of particles in the solution decreases. So if it undergoes dissociation, then the number of particles increases. So lowering of vapor pressure also increases, because it depends on the number of particles or ions or molecules. If it undergoes association, then the number of particles which decreases, so automatically the number of particles also decreases. So lowering of vapor pressure, once again, it decreases. That is the third limitation for Raoult's law. So there are basically three limitations for Raoult's law. One is it is applicable only for very dilute solutions. Second one, it is applicable for non-volatile solute. And third one is the solute doesn't have to undergo any dissociation or association reactions within the solution. Then only Raoult's law is applicable. So we say that Raoult's law is only applicable to dilute solutions containing non-volatile solutes which exist as single molecules in solution. That is, they neither dissociate or associate. So Raoult's law, simply it can be applicable only when the solute is a dilute solutions which consists of a non-volatile solute, and that solute must be a single molecule in solution. That means it is not supposed to undergo any dissociation or association reaction in the solution. So that is applicable for Raoult's law. If the solution contains a volatile solute, then how can we implement the Raoult's law, or how can we state the Raoult's law, or how can we define the Raoult's law? That is one more important thing which we have to learn. So for a non-volatile solutes, generally the lowering of vapor pressure is proportional to is equal to the relative lowering of vapor pressure is equal to the mole fraction of the solute. That is for a non-volatile solute according to Raoult's law. So for example, if a solution contains a volatile solute, and then how can we define the Raoult's law? For a solution which consists of a volatile solute, for that which we have to discuss it now. According to this law, that is according to Raoult's law, partial pressure of a volatile component in solution is proportional to its mole fraction. So if it is a volatile solute, then partial pressure which we have to consider it for any volatile component which is present in the solution, which is proportional to its mole fraction. For example, partial pressure of a solvent is proportional to mole fraction of a solvent. Same way, partial pressure of a solute is proportional to mole fraction of a solute. If all the components in a solution behave like ideal gases, then the total pressure of the solution is equal to the sum of partial pressures of the individual components. If the solution consists of two or more components, If all the components, they behave like ideal gases, then total pressure of a solution, generally we can calculate it from partial pressures of the individual components. So total pressure of a solution is equal to sum of partial pressures of a individual components. For example, PA, PB, PC, three components are there. Their partial pressures are PA, PB, PC. And P is the total pressure of a solution. So P equal to PA plus PB plus PC. That is nothing but sum of the partial pressures of the components. If each component, if it behaves like an ideal gas, when the solution contains any volatile solute, that is the main condition. For example, consider that two components A and B are dissolved in a solvent to form an ideal solution. So that the components which is present in a solution is A and B, which is dissolved in a solvent, which leads to a formation of an ideal solution. Then the total pressure of the ideal solution is equal to the sum of partial pressures of A, that is PA and PB of the components. So in general, based on Raoult's law, total pressure of a solution is equal to the sum of partial pressures of the individual components if they are all behaves like ideal gases when the solution consists of a volatile solute. So for example, if any solvent, if it dissolves, if A and B components, if they are ready to dissolve in a solvent, which makes an ideal solution. So vapor pressure of that ideal solution is equal to partial pressures of a component A and component B. If you combine with each other, then we can get it the total pressure of a solution. So that partial pressures of a component A equal to PA and partial pressure of component B equal to PB. Suppose a plot is drawn for the vapor pressures PA and PB against their mole fractions, then we can get a graph as shown below. See, this is for number of moles of A, number of moles of B, that is number of moles of A equal to 1, number of moles of B equal to 0. The same way, number of moles of A equal to, here it is 0, and number of moles of B equal to 1. So if we draw a graph against vapor pressures of both the components P and PB against their mole fraction values, then we can get it a graph like this. So vapor pressure under y-axis and mole fraction in x-axis if you have taken. So that simply when we add, that is vapor pressure, partial vapor pressure of A, when mole fraction of A equal to 1, then this is the partial vapor pressure of A. When mole fraction of B equal to 1, then partial vapor pressure of B equal to P0B. So dotted lines denotes vapor pressure composition curves of the components A and B. So if PA is the partial vapor pressures and P0A is the vapor pressure in the pure state. So that P is the vapor pressure of a solution, that is nothing but equal to the vapor pressure of A and vapor pressure of B. If you combine that, then we can get it a total vapor pressure of an ideal solution. This is. So P0A is the pure state solvent a component A, vapor pressure at pure state, and P0B is the component B's vapor pressure in the pure state. So PA is the partial vapor pressure per A and PB is the partial vapor pressure per B. So when number of moles of A equal to 1, then the number of moles, that is moles of component A equal to 1, if it is, then its partial vapor pressure value, it's going to be increased from Na equal to 0. That is P0A is, means that is pure state, its vapor pressure is very high. In the same way, NB equal to 1, that means number of moles of B equal to 1. Then at that stage, vapor pressure of a component B in pure state is very high, which indicates that the value of PB is here. And the partial vapor pressure of A and partial vapor pressure of B, which is going to be increased when the number of moles of a particular component is 0. It starts from increasing if the value of number of moles of a particular component is 0. Then when it reaches to 1, then only we can get it some value for PA. So that is the dotted lines denotes vapor pressure composition curves for the components A and B. So vapor pressure at any point on the curves is same as calculated from a Raoult's law equation. So we can calculate the vapor pressures for a component A and component B based on Raoult's law. So that is nothing but vapor pressure of a particular component is equal to vapor pressure of a component at pure state into mole fraction of that component. So based on that, we can calculate it for vapor pressure of A equal to PA equal to P0A into XA. That is nothing but P0A is the vapor pressure of component A at pure state, and XA is the number of moles of mole fraction of A. The same way for PB equal to P0B into XB. PB is the vapor pressure of component B. P0B is the vapor pressure of component B at pure state, and XB is the mole fraction of B component B. So the total pressure of the solution is denoted by the thick line, that is equal to the total pressure of that ideal solution is equal to vapor pressure of component A plus vapor pressure of component B. If you add that, then we can get it the total vapor pressure of an ideal gas. So if it is a volatile solute, then we have to calculate the total vapor pressure for a solution is equal to vapor pressures of individual components. Simply we have to add it. So that is about what is the Raoult's law for a non-volatile and for volatile solutes. How can we implement that for a volatile and non-volatile solutes? What is meant by relative lowering of vapor pressure? How can we determine the relative lowering of vapor pressure experimentally? That which we can discuss it in the next video.